And as soon as it broke out, I was over on the other side and I go, I know exactly what that is.
The fight clip you're watching didn't just go viral, it exploded online. And here's the wildest part. The man being attacked isn't even a UFC fighter. But the moment he showed Conor McGregor's and Khabib Nurmagomedov's inner circles what was on his phone, everything blew up. It triggered the most intense brawl since the night Khabib jumped out of the cage. And stay with me, because what happened next might change UFC history forever. The night everything erupted was November 15th, 2025, inside Madison Square Garden, arguably the most famous arena in the world. Picture it, 20,000 screaming fans filling every seat, all waiting for a night that already felt historic. Islam Makhachev, a man many consider the greatest lightweight ever, was about to fight for his second world title, this time for the welterweight belt. If he won, his legacy would be sealed alongside the greatest athletes the sport has ever seen. The energy was unreal. You could feel it from the nosebleeds all the way down to the cage-side seats, where the biggest names in MMA were sitting. Fighters, coaches, managers, celebrities, everyone who mattered was there, expecting a night of pure dominance from Makhachev. Then, just as the first beats of Baba O'Reilly blasted through the speakers to start the pay-per-view main card, something happened absolutely no one expected. A huge fight broke out right next to the cage involving more than 10 members of Islam Makhachev's team, and one single man.
Here they come!
Commentators John Anik, Joe Rogan, and Daniel Cormier were right in the middle of their on-air introduction when fists suddenly began flying behind them. Shoes were being thrown like missiles, and at one point a chair was lifted over someone's head. Security rushed toward the chaos, trying to control the madness. And standing directly in the center of it all was a man who isn't even under UFC contract. A man who somehow bought his own ticket, even though he knew exactly what kind of reaction he would face. That man was Dillon Danis.
Blame myself for that, actually. They came back and told me right before I walked out for the main card that Dillon Danis was here and he was moving around sitting in fighter seats and not sitting in his own seat that he had a ticket. And they said, do you want us to throw him out of here? And I said, he had.
If you've followed MMA for any amount of time, you already know who Dillon Danis is. He's not just Conor McGregor's jiu-jitsu coach and longtime training partner. He's one of Conor's closest allies. And more importantly, he has spent almost an entire decade provoking, insulting, and targeting Khabib Nurmagomedov's circle. This feud is not new. But what Danis did leading up to UFC 322 went far beyond normal trash talk. It crossed a line nobody had ever crossed before. In the days before the fight, Danis created and posted extremely offensive AI-generated videos. These clips showed Islam Makhachev in fake, humiliating scenarios meant to insult him. Some of the manipulated images showed him in intimate positions with his manager, Ali Abdelaziz. Others showed him hugging a former adult film actress. This wasn't normal hype or joking. These were videos deliberately crafted to attack Makhachev's Muslim values, his cultural beliefs, and everything he respects. And Danis didn't stop at posting them online. He reportedly walked right up to Makhachev's team at the event, held out his phone, and showed the clips directly to them, knowing exactly what kind of reaction he would provoke. And just to be clear, after this, you will never see Dillon Danis at a UFC event again. Javier Mendez, the legendary coach from American Kickboxing Academy, and longtime coach of both Khabib Nurmagomedov and Islam Makhachev, later explained what really happened. He said, "They showed me the videos he posted. They showed me the one of Ali and Islam in a relationship-type embrace, and then the one with Islam and a porn star." Then Mendez asked the question everyone was thinking, what do you expect when you do that? And truly, what else could anyone expect?
Yeah, you will never see Dillon Danis at a UFC fight.
The reaction was immediate and violent. Magom Zainikov, known by his nickname John Pork, was the first to strike, hitting Danis multiple times in the back of the head. Abubakar Nurmagomedov, Khabib's cousin, jumped right in as well. Within seconds, more than 10 fighters were swarming the area. Someone lifted a chair high, ready to swing. Shoes were flying through the air. It looked like complete chaos. The entire brawl lasted less than 60 seconds, but in that single minute, the entire direction of this rivalry changed forever. Hunter Campbell, the UFC's chief business officer and one of the most powerful people in the organization, had to physically step in and separate everyone. Security grabbed anyone they could reach. Somehow, in the middle of the mayhem, Danis actually lost his shoe. Footage shows him calmly picking it up off the ground like nothing happened. A strange moment that perfectly sums up the absurdity of the whole situation. And here's the part that makes all of this even crazier. Dana White knew it was coming. 6. That's right, the UFC president already knew trouble was coming. His security staff had informed him that Danis was inside the building, moving from seat to seat, and even sitting in places that weren't assigned to him. They also told him that Danis kept drifting closer and closer to the one group in the entire arena who, without question, would react to him with violence.
So this guy is not safe as Whole Food, at an airport, at a terminal. And if people catch this guy, he's going to have problems. He's not done. These people not done with him. For the rest of his life, he's not done. Him or Conor, they're not.
They were basically saying, either they apologize, admit they're done, and give up, or there's no mercy. And right now there is no mercy. Dana White understood exactly what was happening the moment the punches started flying. Why? Because this wasn't a random fight. It wasn't two drunk fans arguing over something small. This was the eruption of years, and I mean years, of tension. It was a mix of deeply personal insults, cultural disrespect, and a rivalry that had been boiling ever since that unforgettable night in Las Vegas back in 2018. So when everything exploded, the UFC reacted instantly. Dillon Danis was hit with the harshest punishment possible, a lifetime ban from every future UFC event.
Grabbed a steel dolly and smashed in a bus window at Barclays Center in Brooklyn on Thursday afternoon, injuring UFC fighter Michael Chiesa, and now all hell is breaking.
But here's where the story goes from bad to even worse. The men who actually attacked Danis, they didn't face any punishment from the UFC. No suspensions, no fines, nothing at all. And if you think that a lifetime ban means this feud is over, then you're not listening to what these fighters have been saying since that night. This situation is far from finished, and the people involved have made that very clear.
This guy is nothing but an internet coward. He's a nobody. He's a nobody. And in a way, when you talk about people, like this is a warning for all these people.
Ali Abdulaziz, the manager, who was right at the center of those disgusting AI-generated videos, made something abundantly clear in the days that followed the incident. Him or Conor, he stated, making the stakes crystal clear. That's right. This isn't just about Dillon Danis anymore. According to Abdulaziz, Conor McGregor himself has now been pulled directly into this ongoing conflict. And in their eyes, there's only one way out.
You cannot live this life behind a screen and a keyboard. When you're gonna meet the people you talk about, especially this group, they will hold you accountable. If you're a reporter, if you're a fighter, if you're anybody, you will be held accountable for your action. And this is what exactly.
No mercy. Those two words just hang in the air, feeling like a threat that hasn't been fully realized. And as if things weren't complicated enough, the NYPD has now launched a formal investigation into the incident right after New York City's Mayor Eric Adams condemned the assaults as completely unacceptable. As of today, no arrests have been made and no charges have been filed, but the investigation is very much ongoing, and the possibility of serious criminal consequences still looms over every single person involved. But to truly understand why this situation has become so volatile, why the emotions run this deep, and why there appears to be no end in sight to this conflict, we need to go back. We need to go back to where it all started. Back to the moment when Conor McGregor and Khabib Nurmagomedov's rivalry became the most personal, most bitter, and most violent feud in the entire history of combat sports.
Is it not crazy to say now that Islam has surpassed the great Khabib Nurmagomedov?
Listen, at the end of the day, Islam does have more accomplishment. But what Khabib has done for all of us as community, as Muslim, for Dagestan, for Russia, for everyone.
To truly understand how we got here to this insane point, where a former adult film star and AI-generated videos can spark a near riot at Madison Square Garden, you absolutely need to understand the history. And that history begins with two men from completely different worlds whose paths were absolutely destined to collide in the most explosive way imaginable. Believe it or not, Conor McGregor and Khabib Nurmagomedov's rivalry actually started with a degree of mutual respect back in 2014, but it escalated dramatically due to intense cultural clashes, deeply personal insults, and fierce professional competition. In fact, there's footage of McGregor once predicting that Khabib would one day become the lightweight champion of the world. He saw the undeniable talent. He recognized the sheer dominance. There was a genuine acknowledgement of ability between these two fighters. But somewhere along the way, that respect completely evaporated, and what replaced it was pure, unadulterated hatred.
Khabib trained him to be better than him. You understand? It's not like Khabib wanted him to surpass him. Khabib wanted him to be better than him. It's like a father or a big brother wanted his brother to be better than him, be more successful.
By 2015, Khabib was already openly calling out McGregor, using what would eventually become his signature phrase. He wanted to smash the Irishman. And McGregor, a man who has never backed down from verbal warfare, responded in kind. But McGregor's responses weren't just your standard trash talk. No, they cut much, much deeper. McGregor's provocations repeatedly and deliberately targeted Khabib's Muslim faith, his family, and his Dagestani heritage. He called Khabib a terrorist. He mocked his manager, Ali Abdul Aziz, as a snitch terrorist rat. He even insulted his father, Abdul Manat Nurmagomedov, a man who is not just Khabib's coach, but his spiritual guide, his moral compass, his absolute everything. For a man like Khabib, who comes from a culture where family honor and religious devotion are paramount, these weren't just words. They were declarations of war. And then came April 2018. On April 5, 2018, Conor McGregor and approximately 20 of his associates stormed the Barclays Center in Brooklyn during the UFC 23 Media Day. Their target, a bus that was carrying fighters, including Khabib Nurmagomedov himself.
This is why, man, it's so much love. Khabib does this for nothing. He gained nothing. He gained no money. He gained no hype. The man have 40 million followers on Instagram. He doesn't need anything. But he just this is his father's student, this is his brother, and he wants him to be better.
McGregor grabbed a heavy steel dolly, one of those metal hand trucks used for moving equipment, and he hurled it with all his might right through the window of the bus. Glass shattered and exploded everywhere. Fighters inside were cut, bloodied, and injured. Michael Chara suffered facial lacerations so severe that his scheduled fight had to be cancelled. Ray Borg sustained corneal abrasions to his eyes, putting his career in jeopardy. Rose Namajunas, who was supposed to co-headline the event, was left shaken and deeply traumatized. It was later revealed that the dolly came perilously close to breaking her hand. This wasn't trash talk anymore. This was a criminal assault, plain and simple.
If you surpass him, Islam and Habib, you know. They're brothers, they have the same goal, they have the same happiness, they win together, they lose together. Compare them to each other, it doesn't do them any justice.
McGregor was arrested and ultimately charged with assault and criminal mischief. He eventually pleaded no contest to a lesser charge of disorderly conduct, completed 5 days of community service, and attended anger management classes, which allowed him to avoid any jail time. Michael Chiesa later sued McGregor for assault, battery, and emotional distress, a lawsuit that wasn't settled until December of 2022, years after the fact. But here's the detail that made this entire incident even more disturbing. Instead of distancing themselves from the shocking violence, the UFC actually used footage of the attack to promote the eventual fight between McGregor and Khabib. They turned a criminal act into a marketing tool. They literally monetized the chaos. And on October 6, 2018, that chaos reached its absolute peak.
He got beat up by security guard. He got beat up by Anthony Theater. I smacked him. Like, he's a nobody, but who respects this guy? This guy is a nobody. He can't even go to UFC event.
UFC 229 sold an incredible 2.4 million pay-per-views, which was a UFC record at the time, and it generated a staggering $17.2 million in gate revenue, the highest in Nevada's MMA history. A crowd of 20,000 people packed into the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas to witness what everyone knew would be more than just a fight. It was going to be a reckoning. Khabib dominated from the very opening bell. His grappling was completely suffocating. His pressure was relentless. And through it all, he talked. He pointed at McGregor's corner. He was seen cursing at Dylan Danish between rounds. You could see the rage building with every single second that passed on the clock. And then in the fourth round, Khabib sunk in a vicious neck crank that forced McGregor to tap out. The fight was over. Khabib had won, but he wasn't finished.
Some of you guys, media, is also a part of the problem because you guys interviewed this guy just for views. But this guy, he's never going to be a champion. He's never going to be relevant. He's going to go miss fight with YouTubers. This is his end.
You know, And I'm telling you, some of you guys media is also part of the problem because you guys interviewed this guy just for views. But this guy, he's never going to be a champion. He's never going to be relevant. He's going to go fight with YouTubers. This is his end of the day. In an instant, Khabib threw his mouthpiece towards McGregor's corner, scaled the octagon cage like a man possessed, and launched himself feet first at Dillon Danis. The post-fight brawl that ensued involved over a dozen people. Khabib's cornermen, Zubir Tukhugov and Esadrav, illegally entered the cage and began attacking McGregor from behind. Punches were thrown from every direction. Security was completely overwhelmed. The entire event descended into absolute, unadulterated mayhem. Khabib later explained why he targeted Danis specifically. For him, just submitting McGregor wasn't enough. He wanted to punish McGregor's entire team. He wanted to make a statement that disrespecting his faith, his family, and his culture would have consequences that go far beyond just losing a fight.
Because I represent Kamaru. Do he want to fight Kamaru Usman? If this is what he wants, and I agree with him. You know, what these other guys will do for him? Nothing. Kamaru's arguably the greatest welterweight all the time per day, in a way. Most title defenses. And honestly, he posed the biggest challenge for Islam. Because now this guy...
The Nevada State Athletic Commission fined Khabib a massive $500,000 and suspended him for 9 months. McGregor was fined $50,000 and received a 6-month suspension. Dillon Danis himself got a $7,500 fine and a 7-month suspension for his role in provoking the incident. Dana White called the brawl an embarrassment to the sport. Even Khabib's own father publicly criticized his actions and promised there would be discipline. The world watched as what should have been a celebration of incredible athletic achievement devolved into what looked like tribal warfare. But even after all the fines were paid and the suspensions were served, the hatred never dissipated. It just went underground, festering in the dark shadows of social media, waiting for its next opportunity to explode.